The Cold Case of Matthew Ryan Stuart. As we approach the early morning of June 9th, 2009, in a small house located in the Gabriel Estates neighborhood in Morrisville, North Carolina, a family is asleep, unharmed, and waiting for what the day brings. The family includes the victim, Matthew, his wife, Angela, and their two kids, Naomi and Josiah. Angela also had another daughter, Hannah, who was not at the house that night. Around 40 minutes after midnight, an intruder entered the Stewart's house from an unknown entrance and began walking up to the master bedroom, where 31-year-old Matthew Stewart and his wife, along with their 2-year-old son Josiah, were asleep. Angela was woken up by the intruder coming into the room. Jumping up, she sees the intruder and realizes that he has a gun. She then puts her hand over her face and screams no. The intruder begins to open fire on the three.
As Matt was being targeted by the intruder, he flung up from the bed and started attempting to defend him and his family, eventually making their way to the bathroom through the struggle. During this time, Angela fled the house out the front door with Josiah, leaving Naomi asleep in the other room. Angela runs across the street to the neighbor's house with her son and ends up calling 911 at 12:47 a.m. The police soon arrive at 12:49, but for some reason don't end up going to the house until 2:30, supposedly because of a possible hostage situation with Naomi. During this time, the intruder left out the back door and was gone. While police were in the house, eventually they made their way to the bathroom where they found the body of Matthew Stewart. The main focus is finding the person who did this, but because the intruder had been in the house around an hour before the cops went in, there was no sign of him. The police went on a hunt looking for him, but they were unable to locate any evidence to where they might be.
Eventually getting the autopsy results back, it was found out that Matthew was shot 6 times in the head, abdomen, and back, stabbed 12 times in the head, neck, and hands, and also suffered from blunt force trauma to his head and neck. This was a crime of passion, but also a crime with very little evidence. There was no proof of forced entry, no DNA, no fingerprints, and worst, there was no motive. Morrisville Chief Robin said that this was an unusual crime in Morrisville. We have a safe and good community here.
Our victim, Matthew, was born on March 14, 1978, and raised in Morrisville, North Carolina. He graduated from Morrisville High School and decided to continue his education at the Mitchell Community College, later working as a nurse at Lake Norman Regional Medical Center, as well as being a prominent member of his church, River Life Fellowship, where he volunteered with youth ministry.
While he continued to volunteer at River Life Fellowship, he met Angela Hare, who was a single mother to her newborn daughter, Hannah. She was also a nurse working at a hospital in the Charlotte area. They soon began dating for only a few months before announcing their engagement. Matt and Angela were eventually married for 8 years, having 2 children together, Naomi and Josiah. As we take a look back to the morning of June 9th, we know that Angela and her son Josiah got out of the house safe, but what happened to Matt and their other daughter? Hannah, the oldest, was luckily staying at a friend's house down the street that night, while the rest of their family laid sleeping at home.
We know that the unknown intruder started firing away, but why? Who would do this to this kind, loving, and beautiful family? And why was Matthew the only one being targeted?
As we look at the scene, their home in Gabriel Estates, it was very brutal, being processed the day after the crime, all if any evidence was fresh, but there was little to no forensic evidence that was found at the scene. What was taken in was a few bullet casings, 38 and 22 caliber, and blood that was found on the front and back door. Unfortunately, these did not lead anywhere, as the blood belonged to Matthew and Angela, and there was nothing that could be done with the casings.
After doing some research, we have found 3 main people to look into. His wife Angela, Patrick Tracy Burris, and Brenda Hare. Patrick had been arrested in a neighboring county for going on a killing spree and had been released just days prior to Matt's murder, making him a suspect. In the end, nothing connected the case. On the other hand, we have Angela. Often, Matt and Angela were described as a good couple, having similar jobs, interests, and both having loving, supportive families. What could cause this horrific crime to happen? As police interviewed all family members, one stuck out the most: Brenda Hare. The mother of Angela said she woke around an hour or two before the crime and had an uneasy feeling which led her to drive by the Stewart's home. She assumed everyone inside was okay and safe and drove back to her own house. Why wouldn't she have checked in any further, like maybe a text or a call or knocking at the door? Did she know something was going to happen? Was she behind all of this?
Along with that, police know Angela couldn't have done it alone, as she did experience a graze wound which she couldn't have done herself. Her blood from her wound was found on the front door, while Matt's blood, most likely from the intruder leaving, was found on the back door, showing that if Angela was involved, she didn't pull the trigger. The biggest question is, why did Angela leave her 4-year-old daughter in the house, and why was she not targeted? As police continue asking questions, Angela describes the suspect as a tall white male wearing a mask and a giant black suit. She also claims that she left her daughter in the house because with her wound she wouldn't be able to save her. While this would normally be a good excuse, Angela's wound was so small that she only had to receive a few stitches. Could Angela have planned for someone to do this? Did she just get accidentally hit in the crossfire? And did she leave Naomi because she knew Naomi would be safe?
Unfortunately, there is no forensic evidence, nor probable cause that it could be Angela. With the intruder seemingly leaving nothing, the case has gone cold. With just not enough evidence, no suspects, and no motives, we cannot use important, useful forensic methods like ballistics, fingerprints, and or DNA. While there is not enough physical evidence, there still should be people who are looked into further. Angela and Brenda. While they were told to be acting suspicious at the scene, from our research we have learned that they were barely looked into. While Angela was there that night and Brenda randomly drove by, they seemingly have to know more than they are letting off, but for some reason they were never huge suspects. This case was hard and very empty for investigators. They did their best with what they were given, evidence and witness wise. With no evidence, this case was almost impossible to solve. Based on everything, Angela and her mom acting strange and calm, Angela being woken up first, changing little things in her story, making up the idea about the hostage situation so the cops went in later, leaving her daughter in the house, and her escaping easily with no fight, it seems that Angela knows something. Possibly she suffered from a graze wound on accident, while she knew who was killing her husband and why. She ran out of the house and left her daughter because she knew Matthew was the target, then called 911 not to be a suspect. While this is a possibility that many believe, Angela was never a true suspect and has never been questioned for the murder. The family has now started new lives. Angela has remarried to Jacob Whitlow a few years after Matthew's death, whose wife also died under suspicious circumstances. Hannah, the oldest daughter, now has 2 children and is an artist. Naomi and Josiah are now in college, seemingly living their best life. The kids to this day still cherish their father and who he was as a person, wishing and hoping that one day he gets justice.